9 out of 10 Pakistanis live inside of this river basin. It irrigates over 90% of their crops, powers every single one of their 21 hydroelectric plants, and keeps a country of 230 million people alive. And right now, India has just turned off the tap. This is the Indus River system. It's one of the oldest and most contested waterways on Earth. And in April 2025, India did something it had never done before in 65 years. It suspended the treaty that governs how this water gets shared, not renegotiated, not paused for talks, suspended, full stop, until Pakistan, in India's words, credibly and irrevocably entered support for cross-border terrorism. Pakistan's defense minister responded by saying, "The moment we feel our national security is under threat, we will go to war." Two nuclear-armed states with an almost equal amount of nuclear weapons over just one river. Welcome to the most dangerous water dispute on Earth. Welcome back. Or if you're new here, welcome to On the Map. It's my series where I explain what's actually happening on the map behind the headlines. To understand why this dispute is so serious, we first need to understand the geography, because the geography is exactly the problem here. The Indus River does not start in Pakistan. It actually starts around here in Tibet. It flows through the disputed Kashmir region in the northwest of the Indian subcontinent, then enters Pakistan, where it eventually drains an Arabian Sea near Karachi. The Indus system isn't just one river, it's 6 major rivers. Indus itself, Jhelum, Chenab, Ravi, Beas, Sutlej. And here's the critical detail. Every single one of these rivers flows from India into Pakistan. The headwaters, mountain, snowmelt, dam sites, all of it sits upstream in India. Pakistan is entirely downstream and has no alternative source. It's a dispute where one side controls the geography and completely, and the other side depends on it completely. This wasn't always a problem. Before 1947, basin was managed under a single unified system under British colonial rule. Canals and headworks built together. Shared infrastructure, no international border cutting across it. Then the partition happened. The border between the new nations of India and Pakistan fell right across the middle of the river system, putting the headwaters in India and the canals in Pakistan. Almost immediately, in 1948, India shut off flows to Pakistani canals for over a preview of exactly what's happening today. The 1960 Indus Waters Treaty was meant to solve this permanently, brokered by the World Bank and signed by the Indian Prime Minister, Nehru, Pakistani President. This divided the 6 rivers between the two countries. India got the 3 eastern rivers, the Ravi, the Beas, and the Sutlej, about 20% of the total flow. But the Pakistanis got the 3 western rivers, Indus, the remaining 80%. Pakistan got the larger share deliberately because both the World Bank and both governments understood the geography. Pakistan's population, agriculture, and economy were entirely dependent on those western rivers, and there was no realistic alternative supply. India was compensated with funds to build the replacement infrastructure on its side. For 65 years, the 3 wars, nuclear standoffs, constant diplomatic crisis, this treaty held. It survived things that most international agreements don't even come close to surviving. It became famous in international law as a model of how 2 hostile states can still cooperate on a critical shared resource. And then, in April 2025, it didn't. On April 23rd, 2025, a terrorist attack near the town of Pahalgam in the Indian-administered part of Kashmir killed 26 civilians, mostly tourists. India blamed Pakistan for providing support to the attackers. Pakistan denied it, but India's response went beyond the usual diplomatic protests. Within days, India declared the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance, a formal legal term meaning suspended, not terminated, but not active either. That was over a year ago. Since then, the situation has steadily increased. In June 2025, India's Water Resources Minister said New Delhi was working to ensure Pakistan would not receive a single drop of Indus water in the coming years. Pakistan's army chief reportedly warned that India would face 10 missiles for every dam it builds. In May 2026, an international court of arbitration, the legal body set up under the treaty itself, ruled that India's abeyance was illegal and that the treaty doesn't allow for unilateral suspension. India rejected the court's jurisdiction entirely and refused to engage with the ruling. And this week, as of the time you're watching this, India's foreign ministry is still saying 8 words that settle nothing and change nothing. India's position on the Indus Waters Treaty is consistent. Pakistan held an international conference in Islamabad on June 30th to build illegal pressure against India's position, calling it a violation of international law and warning that the world order itself would collapse if powerful states could simply walk away from building treaties. India didn't send a representative. Here's where the geography gets really alarming. India isn't just threatening to stop sharing water, it has the infrastructure to actually do it, and has been quietly building more. India controls the headwaters of all 3 western rivers that belong to Pakistan under the treaty. It has existing dams on the Jhelum and more projects in various stages of planning, and under the treaty, India was allowed to build dams on the western rivers for limited purposes, run-of-river hydropower, domestic use, but not to divert or store the water at the scale that would deprive Pakistan downstream. With the treaty suspended, India is no longer bound to those restrictions, at least in its own interpretation, and the effects don't even require India to fully shut off the flow. According to analysts, simply manipulating the timing of water releases from existing dams could be devastating, releasing water during Pakistani planting seasons to cause flooding, or withholding it during critical irrigation windows to destroy harvests. Pakistan has already written to India twice in 2025 and once in May 2026, complaining about abnormal and abrupt flow variations in the Chenab River. India has not responded to those complaints. To understand why this is so serious for Pakistan specifically, the Indus Basin isn't just important to Pakistan, it is Pakistan economically. 9 in 10 Pakistanis live within it. More than 90% of Pakistan's crops are irrigated using its water. All 21 hydroelectric plants that generate Pakistan's power sit within the basin. Pakistan is already in IMF bailout territory economically. It says that the water is part of their national security and they will go to war for if it is threatened. He is not speaking, he is describing in plain language a scenario that falls within the state conditions of Pakistan's nuclear doctrine. This is not a typical water dispute that gets resolved in the International Court of Justice. This is a water dispute between 2 nuclear-armed states, the history of 3 conventional wars, an active territorial dispute in Kashmir, and a diplomatic relationship that is currently, as of July 2026, at one of its lowest points in decades. The World Bank brokered the original 1960 treaty and technically still has a dispute resolution role under it, but it historically has been extremely reluctant to adjudicate directly between India and Pakistan, 2 nuclear states, both significant clients and partners, on an issue this is charged. The Court of Arbitration that ruled against India's suspension in May 2026 did so without India's participation. India simply rejected the ruling outright. Without a mechanism to actually enforce international law on sovereign nuclear states, the legal architecture that was supposed to manage this dispute is essentially non-functional right now. India is betting that time and domestic political pressure to give it more leverage than any legal ruling. Both bets might be wrong. Water is becoming a geopolitical weapon faster than most people realize. The Nile is already a source of serious tension between Ethiopia, Sudan, and Egypt. The Mekong is being dammed in ways that are devastating downstream countries in Southeast Asia. The Colorado River barely reaches the sea anymore. Climate change is shrinking glaciers across the Himalayas, the same glaciers that feed the Indus system, meaning the total amount of water available is already decreasing, even before any treaty suspension. The Indus Waters Treaty dispute isn't a one-off. It's an early signal of the kind of conflict that's going to define the next 50 years in geopolitics. When the resource runs short, the map starts to matter more than the agreement. 2 nuclear states, 1 river, and a treaty that survived 3 wars but it might not survive this one. That's this week's On the Map video. Next week we're watching another fault line already forming.